Hey everybody. I was watching a live that Sean Bradley had on last night about, and then the title of it, I think is "Black Women Will Not Remain Silent." And it was he had two very powerful and strong black women speaking um, about what they had witnessed on that documentary. And on the record, the documentary is regarding the allegations against Russell Simmons, and it has people talking. Full disclosure, I have not watched it. The problem I have with the opinions others were left with is projecting the experiences of those women onto all black women. I just feel that is intellectually and factually dishonest. All black women who were victims are not silent because they are trying to, quote, protect black men from the system. Often they are traumatized and afraid. Now, the other thing is if one black woman or a black woman has a bad experience with her father, her man, or whoever, that is that woman's experience. Likewise, if a woman had a good experience with her father, her man, or other relatives, that too is that woman's experience. We should not project our personal experience and assert that we are suffering in silence because we are trying to protect black men, whether they are powerful or not. You know, I was in the entertainment industry for many years, long before there were any protections for women. I can say that no one dangled fame in front of me for sexual favors, and what I did achieve was not as a result of sexual favors. Lumping everyone in an industry is really patently unfair. And, you know, I left the industry not because of something like that, but because I chose being a parent and being a mother who's available and who was there to make the breakfast and to do this and do that. I turned down a lot of gigs because I made a decision that, you know, my child was more important to me than um, any sort of fame or career. And I've met a lot of entertainers even before I got officially into the business. A good example is at 15 years old, I met the Temptations, and I was crushing big time on Eddie. Now, remember, I was 15. And when I first met him, I asked him, you know, I said, "How old are you?" You know what that leads to. And Eddie said, "Too old for you," which is what he was supposed to say. And over time, I became very good friends with him and Paul. And they always treated me with respect. Black men are treated bad enough in this society. And to use the allegation against one man as some sort of touchstone for all black men and all black women is truly unfair. We cannot, or should not, we can, but we should not rally around a theory when the end result will be a fissure between black women and black men. And to try, and by trying to say it's the experience of all black women. It's not. And another thing, you know, Kobe's name was brought up, Kobe Bryant. and in a way that which made it seem as if um, Gail King's question about him, although inappropriate, contained a truth, as if he had raped a woman. Now, the charges against Kobe were dismissed because the victim would not be able to testify. Because according to the prosecutor, her statements were dubious and some were just outright lies. But because of an allegation, people to this day speak about it as if it were true. And that was a case I followed very closely in real time. Another example is the O.J. trial. Now, a lot of the younger people were not really watching. They just saw whatever they saw, but they didn't really get into it because they were kids in school and so on. But I watched that trial gavel to gavel. And in the evening, I would watch CNN for the recap. And I had to wonder if I was watching they were watching the same trial that I saw. Anybody who saw every single thing in that trial knows that that was a just verdict. But people won't accept it. Now, they have videotapes of the entire trial, not the movie, but the video of the entire trial. And if you watch that, you will see that the jury did what they were supposed to do. And if you want to believe what the media has said, your point of view is shaped through the lens of the media. And we cannot say that all white men are violent and all white men are rapists, because by saying that, we become just like the racists who have and are oppressing us. And we're using the same phrases, that word all, like all black people are lazy, all black people are dumb, all black people this or that. If all white men were like that, slavery would still be in existence. Another good example that a lot of people don't know, but the Amish were part of the Underground Railroad, and many of the abolitionists were white. So what I saw during the George Floyd protest affirmed that. The Amish got in their buggies, their horse and buggies, and they rode over to the protest and held up signs in support of Black Lives Matter. But black feminism cannot be a form of black man bashing. That is unacceptable. Many black women have had bad experiences, but others have had good experience. During my lifetime, I've met both and some in the middle. Since I did not watch this documentary, I cannot say if their allegations are true, but in all fairness, Russell Simmons has denied them. Maybe what was on the documentary was credible and believable, because that is the general consensus. But still, an allegation does not translate into factual. Now, the other thing that I want to bring up, and this is about the McMartin preschool case. Those people's lives were ruined because people said children would not lie. Eventually, it came out that they did lie. But it wasn't purposely. It was suggested to them, and they went with that. And to find out that these people's entire lives were ruined. And I think the son was in jail for many years prior to trial. But in the end, they were all found to be innocent. And it was because of the person who interviewed the children and her suggestions. And when they reviewed the tapes, they saw that's exactly what happened. See, she suggested it. And as far as domestic violence is concerned, many women, black and white, who get caught in the cycle don't leave, or they go back. And that's a phenomenon that even experts find difficult to explain. Opinions are one thing, but as we have said on many occasions, as a people, black people, we are not a monolithic group of people. There is no way to paint all of our experiences with one broad brush based on the alleged experiences of women with one man. Too often in the legal system, black people are innocent until charged. We should not perpetuate that onto people based solely upon allegations. As for Bill Cosby, one of the so-called victims made an allegation, and as it turned out, with verifiable independent proof, he was on the other side of the country performing during that period of time. Another woman, Janet or something, recanted, but after his sentencing. And she said she made it all up to sell a book. Now, then there's Michael Jackson. Just last week, a tape recording surfaced, which proved that those Wonderland participants lied. And you can check out the hashtag on Twitter, hashtag Michael Jackson Vindicated. But people ran with it because of a documentary. Many black women who have been raped and sexually assaulted keep quiet, not because they are trying to protect the black man, because many times they are not only afraid, but embarrassed. Others turn it inward and blame themselves. And during another era, young girls and women were believed but told to keep quiet to protect their own reputations. Now, young people, 50 and under, y'all were just kids when the phrase "no means no" started. There was no such phrase prior to that. In fact, the schools started even saying it, no means no. So there's a whole generation that grew up hearing it, no means no. And sex was not openly talked about until the 1960s, during a time when we, as a generation, had been fed the Ozzie and Harriet fairy tales and, protecting our virginity, and found out it was all a bunch of BS. And from that, the sexual revolution was born. And the common phrase back then was, if it feels good, do it. That was the attitude that led into the 70s and 80s. And by the mid-90s, it had become part of our culture. But when AIDS began, things changed. And unfortunately, some people did not. I have witnessed black men be accused, and the woman is believed when it is a black man. But sometimes the allegation and accusation is not true. So I'm not one to automatically believe an accusation just because the accuser is a woman. We can't attribute certain things to men just because they're men, and we cannot automatically believe a woman just because she's a woman. I was once fragile, but due to life, I became stronger than I knew I was. But that's because every time I got knocked down by life, I got back up. Some women did not, and they self medicated with drugs and alcohol. Some of them died, OD. I have male relatives who had women lied. Their women, their wives, lied and cheated. They fell down into drugs and alcohol as well. I hope that as black women, we embrace all of our history. I don't want to be considered fragile. I'd rather be considered like that queen long, long time ago, before slavery, who was a very powerful warrior. She was a warrior queen, and she won many battles. That's how I like to see myself. That's my example. Because I can't get into this fragile stuff, you know. I'm not fragile. But I was raised to be fragile. I was raised to believe that I was a fragile, meek, weak person. And I fought against it, not consciously, subconsciously, all of my young life, and I mean from elementary school on up. But the strength of enduring is nothing to be ashamed of, because a lot of people don't endure. I know too many people who got caught up and could not handle it, and they're gone now, or they just disappeared. So we need to be careful as to how we say, what our experience is. If a person wants to be fragile, that's good. But that doesn't mean all black women identify with that. And we have to, as a people, allow for what is an individual thing and the collective view of us as a people. So go check out Sean's Live and check out the documentary. They'll tell you how you can watch it on there. And it's very interesting, but we'll see what time provides, in the long run. All right, everyone. That's just my opinion and my view. Okay? Have a great day.